All right, so we're going on with Sri Nisargadatta's I Am That.
And the
And
muting, Maharaj.
okay, good idea. I'm going to mute everybody, but as you know, unmute yourself at will or anything that you'd like to share or say or correct or investigate. All right. I'm hoping this is the right place. We're on the question, can there be happiness in unity? Is that right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. And the world, the Maharaj's little quote before that is quite interesting, actually. The question that the guy asked when we ended class last week was, Buddha too has said that for the attainment of nirvana, one must go to living beings. Consciousness needs life to grow. Okay. Maharaj really doesn't deal with that notion, but he says the world itself is contact, the totality of all contacts actualized in consciousness. Yeah, you know what that means, right? I mean, the entire universe has to touch you for you to perceive it. It has to touch one of your senses for it to exist. And so with the world itself, your entire universe really only exists at the edge of your senses, as it were. So that the universe is contact. It's contact with you. It has no existence until it meets you, right? The totality of all contacts, the totality of all experience, all sensual input actualized in consciousness, right? So collected by consciousness, arranged in relativity, a universe is created. The spirit touches matter and consciousness results, right? Because you, until you touch matter, are pure awareness or our awareness. And as soon as you come in contact with something, that awareness now is defined as consciousness. It's aware of something. And so being aware of something is being conscious. Such consciousness, when tainted with memory and expectation, okay, so we could say consciousness when tainted with memory. What's memory? All of your attachments, right? All of the things that you didn't let go of with the flow of time. You grabbed them, wanted to store them in your own immortality, as it were. And so you tuck them away in memory. So consciousness, when tainted with that memory, when tainted with your attachments and tainted with your expectations, your desires, your future. So he's talking again about your past and your future, tainting your perception of the moment. It becomes bondage, right? Because the moment always comes up wanting when it's looked at through your attachments and through your desires. When you have those, when you have those defining your moment for you, there's no way to be free in it. The body is going to be projecting all of its needs and desires. I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm achy, I'm sick, I'm well, all those different things. And the mind with its different expectations. I want sugar, I want coffee, I want happiness, I want company. And if you believe yourself to be those voices, if you believe yourself to be that body mind, you're bound to serve the body mind. You're bound to keep chasing after your desires based on your past, based on your memories. And so it produces bondage. Pure experience does not bind, right? Pure experience passes through the moment effortlessly as it does. A normal thought, as we talk about quite often, a normal thought arises out of emptiness, comes into being, passes in front of the eye of the witness, and then degrades back into emptiness again. And that's what everything does in pure awareness, in pure consciousness, in pure experience. It just comes, it presents itself, and it passes. Experience caught between desire and fear is impure and creates karma. Right? So, but caught between desire is caused by looking at the moment through our attachments, through our past, through our memories, right? That causes desire. And he's saying that experience caught between this desire And fear, right? And fear is basically the fruit of egoism, right? It's the fruit of basing our sense of self on body and mind. We the immortal self, have that immortal sense within us, but when we base our identity on the finite, on a body that's obviously aging and dying, and on a mind which is constantly changing, there's nothing there that's to stand on. That produces a deep fear in us, a fear of non-existence, a fear of the unknown, right? And that's what makes it so difficult to debondage ourselves, to let go of body mind, because at least we are aware, at least we are familiar, is what I was looking for. We're familiar with our bondage, and so we tend to hold on to it. It's that story of that man who spent his entire life in a dungeon, and that new king takes over and gives everybody freedom, and they unlock this old man's dungeon door, and he goes outside into the daylight. It's his first time seeing daylight in 60 years, and he's horrified by it. What, this horrible light in the sky? Oh my gosh, all this brightness, oh, this noise out here, all these people out here, oh God. And he runs back into his dungeon and shuts his cell door, locks himself back in his cell, because that's his life. He's comfortable with that. He knows how to navigate that. He knows what the rules are, knows what the limits are, knows what the dinner times are, and he hides back in his comfort again. And this is part of our struggle. Why? Because spiritual life itself is very simple. Just be who you are. That's it. If you could be who you are that divine image, that Satchitananda, that expression of love and wisdom and being. So that's all you need to do, is be who you are. The tough part is that you usually don't find out that that's the whole point until you're somewhere in later in life, and you've defined yourself as all different kinds of things. So someone says, be who you are, and you're like, oh, what does that mean? Does that mean I like flowers and I'm an actor and I like perfume and this is me, and so I should express that? No, you see, that's the trouble. We define ourselves by our limitations and restrictions. All right, all of our desires are limitations. They're restrictions. They're not something beautiful. They are an infinite being chopping off its infinity. Right. So to have any attributes is to limit yourself, because any attribute, if I'm wearing an orange shirt, I'm not wearing a white one. I'm not wearing a blue one. I'm not wearing a yellow one. So you see, the act of wearing an orange shirt is a great act of limitation. I have restricted all of the other color spectrum, just wearing the orange. And so our desires pin us into a world of smallness. And that smallness is the source of a very deep fear in us that ties us to our habits of familiarity, that ties us to our habits of thinking, the cycles that we're caught in. And that's why it's so difficult to let go, because that's all happening under the radar in our mind. Our awareness isn't there. And so we're acting on all of these clutchings without being aware of it. And so that's why the solution is go inside and put the light of your awareness on these habitual cycles of limitation, and they will undo themselves. But you have to be present there, and you have to be willing to let go when awareness says, let go. And that's the trouble. That's the trouble.
Maharaj, can you please
Yes.
say a little bit more on focusing attention?
On focusing attention, yes. Well, attention, my best experience of it is to not focus it, but to widen it. Its tendency is to focus through the senses on particulars, particular thoughts, particular experiences, particular parts of the body that are calling for attention. So I really think in meditation or in practice, it's opening up to pure awareness, letting the awareness see everything, experience everything equally, and not pick out any particular in the puzzle. So you stay there and you just keep expanding. You turn your awareness into a satellite dish. Turn your awareness into a satellite dish aimed at the beloved, aimed at the ultimate reality or awareness within you. You can't, and that's the funny thing. That's why I say turning it into a listening device, because it can't turn in on itself. You can, in a peripheral sort of way, be aware of awareness. But that's the same thing. Being aware of awareness is the same thing as being aware of the whole. It's just a method of doing it. If you become aware of becoming aware, that keeps you from going specific. It keeps that thing expanded. And so by not letting attention be drawn to any particulars, but staying general, you're mimicking your nature as the universal, as the infinite. Right?
Thank you.
So, yeah. So in this idea of what he's talking about, this pure experience, this not any particulars, this forgetting your past and letting go of the need for a future, this being fully in the present moment, he says, can there be happiness in this unity? Is there any happiness here? That seems so mature, so dry. Can there be happiness in unity? Does not all happiness imply necessarily contact and hence duality? Oh, no, this is interesting. Does not happiness require duality? That's the real question there. And what would you say to that? Happiness is a generated state. That's why we don't say, that Ananda is happiness. Ananda is bliss. Ananda is love. It's a steady state. It's not an excited state. It's an even keel of a state, and not even a state because it can't be disrupted. It's an isness. It's part of your nature. So he's asking about happiness, though. Maharaj says, well, there is nothing wrong with duality. There's nothing wrong with it necessarily, as long as it does not create conflict, right? As long as you can maintain that sense of harmony, and that sense of harmony is maintained by the knowledge of unity, even when experiencing duality, right? That's where compassion comes from. That's where empathy comes from. That's where love comes from. Love is exactly that. It's seeing the duality, but while remembering the unity, while knowing the unity. So you see yourself in all of the duality. So you have the attitude of the unity, the experience of the duality. That's really where we're trying to go in an enlightened state, as such. Living the dream, being in the dream and knowing simultaneously that you're dreaming. So you're not subject to the dream. You're not victim to the dream. You are the controller, the container of the dream. You are everything within the dream. So there's nothing wrong with duality as long as it does not create conflict, as long as you have that sense of non-resistance to what comes in the moment, as long as you know your nature to be love and wisdom, and you're able to take the conditions and circumstances of the moment and produce beauty out of them, produce God out of them, put your nature into them, as it were. Multiplicity and variety without strife is joy, right? That's pure bliss, pure wonder, to walk through the universe of displaying the nature of God, knowing what you're looking at, knowing that you're looking at God manifesting, that all of nature is God manifesting, or the divine manifestation, or the ultimate reality. Choose your word, just don't get offended. So any of those ideals, that as we walk in this garden of reality, if we can know our nature in it, know it to be of our nature, know ourself to be the container of it, that we are the container of the senses, and the senses are what contacts the universe and are what presents the universe to us, to the witness. And if you can know that, that's what Thakur would see. That's what all the sages see when they launch off into these ecstatic states. The body gets short-circuited, the mind gets short-circuited by this level of just beauty, just this rush of wonder, and has to shut down. The circuits aren't big enough for it. In pure consciousness, there is light. For warmth, contact is needed. Interesting. So in pure consciousness, there is light. Now, see, pure consciousness, that he's talking, when he says pure consciousness, he's meaning awareness. So awareness is light. Awareness is love, in that sense. So in this pure consciousness, when there's no objects, there's still light. But when there's no objects in light, what do you get? You get the night sky, right? Light, the universe, the night sky reveals as dark, but it's got the light of trillions of suns in it, right? So there is no darkness in the night sky. There's just vacuum, meaning that there's nothing there to reflect that light, right? There's nothing there to reflect that light, and so it appears as the dark night sky in that sense. So for warmth to experience, contact is needed, right? So you've got God and you've got the power of God, Shiva and Shakti. For Shiva to manifest, contact is needed, right? So it's an imagined contact between body, mind, and self. Above the unity of being is the union of love. Love is the meaning and the purpose of duality. Oh my God. Poetry in, again, a scripture. This is amazing. Beautiful. Look at that. There is something beautiful. Multiplicity and variety without strife is joy. In pure consciousness, there is light. For warmth, contact is needed. Above the unity of being is the union of love. Love is the meaning and purpose of duality. Wow, I could sit in that tub all day long. That is so beautiful. That is so rich right there. That is the cure for so much melancholy right there in that paragraph. It's beautiful, just delightful. So there's nothing wrong with this duality. You don't have to get rid of it, right? You don't focus on transcending it too quickly. Why? Because it's the meaning and purpose of love is the meaning and purpose of it. To see love, to experience love, to watch love, to emanate love, to manifest love. This is the whole point of duality. You can't see and appreciate love without contact with love. And so he's saying that this is the whole reason, perhaps, that God spins off into these multiple whirlpools in a common lake to experience itself, to experience pure love, to experience pure wisdom, to get the wonder of existence. So yes, so this warmth, for warmth, contact is needed. So for God to express love for you, this universe is necessary. All of your contact with the universe through your senses, every bit of it right now, can be interpreted as a sign or love letter from the divine to you. The beloved or the universe or that divine reality or that ultimate reality, however we look at it, has loaned to you these three necessary qualities for experiencing the universe: your existence, your sense of being, your sense of love, your ability to see and express love, and your ability to be wise, to learn from your faults, to grow from your mistakes, to transcend from your experience. This is what the universe has given to you to enjoy itself. It has given to you to enjoy this life. And so no need to push against seeing a duality. Understand the nature of duality. Understand that the actual nature of duality is unity. And not just the unity of being, right? Not just that we all exist, but also this union of love. And we see that, of course, I mentioned that a lot, but in Matthew, Jesus's final prayer for us is that unity bound by the cord of love into a common oneness. So the questioner, hearing all of this, says, I am an adopted child. My own father I do not know. My mother died when I was born. My foster father, to please my foster mother, who was childless, adopted me, almost by accident. Oh my goodness. He is a simple man, a truck owner and driver. My mother keeps the house. I'm 24 years now. For the last 2.5 years, I am traveling, restless, seeking. I want to live a good life, a holy life. What am I to do? This is the rich young man coming to Jesus, saying, look, I want to know the truth. What do I have to do? Let's see what M says. Oh my goodness, he's going to say something quite interesting here. Look at this. Maharaj says, go home. Go home. There's nothing to be found in wandering, is what he's saying. The restlessness will not bear fruit. Go home. Go back to your beginning point. Take charge of your father's business, right? Just look at what's in your present moment. That's what is yours to work with. Don't go looking for something outside of your presence. Look right here in your moment to find what you need to do. Look after your parents in their old age. So he's just telling them, do your duties. Do the things that are necessary. Marry the girl who is waiting for you. Right? Be loyal, be simple, be humble, hide your virtue, live silently. The 5 senses and the 3 qualities, the gunas, are your 8 steps in yoga, and I am is the great reminder. You can learn from them all you need to know. Be attentive, inquire ceaselessly. That is all. What beautiful, 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 beautiful advice this is. He's saying, don't look outside of your life. Don't look at conditions and circumstances. Don't look at goals and dreams, things in a linear causational line of things. He says, return to the conditions of your life, to return to your moment, the moment that belongs to you, the moment that has exactly what it has in it for you. And in that moment, look around. How can you alleviate suffering? How can you serve? How can you manifest love? How can you manifest being into this moment, into your moment, into your native moment, right? So this idea of looking, of grasping, of wandering and running and clutching, that can end. I understand that intimately. I traveled around the world back in the mid-90s, doing this exact same thing, looking for meaning, looking for what could take such a mundane experience of life and make it mean something. And after all that wandering, nearly a year of sleeping in strange beds, I came to this understanding on a small island of Rarotonga in the South Pacific, sitting out on the porch in the moonlight that night, watching it reflect off of the palm trees that looked like tin in that moonlight, and sitting there and realizing that these 10,000 people that lived on this island had never gotten off the island and couldn't get off the island. There wasn't enough of an economy to pay for a $1,500 plane ticket to get off that island. And so they lived there their whole lives. And I sat there and thought to myself, if there is a meaning to life, it has to be available to somebody living on an island that can't get off. And so it must be something within us. It must not be something out there. And so I packed my bags and I caught my plane back to San Francisco, which was my going home, taking charge of my business, getting my old job back, getting an apartment, and getting back to just living life. And here he says, where is it that you look, right? He says the 5 senses and the 3 gunas are your steps in yoga. Right. So your practice is to deal with your 5 senses, to bring them into control, to place them in their proper place and get that mess cleaned up. And then the second one, the 3 gunas, the sattva, the tamas, the rajas, and the sattva. So getting the restlessness, that fluttery, that's rajas, bringing that into balance with your tamas, your inertia, your laziness, or your tendency to degrade. Take care of that, bring those into balance, and experience sattva, experience that harmony. So he says, these are your steps of yoga. This is your practice. Just take the normal things in your house. You don't have to go to a gym. He's telling you, go to the kitchen and use your gallon of milk as a barbell. There's no need to go out and get special things for your spiritual life. Live your life. But he's telling you how. Get your senses under control. Pay attention to the gunas and keep them in harmony in yourself. The I am is your great reminder. So what is your mantra? The I am. Breathing, being constantly aware of I am, because I am is the name of the divine, right? The sense of being, the sense of isness, the sense of loving, the sense of wisdom. So this I am, breathe it in, be constantly reminded of your pure existence, your pure awareness. And you can learn from them all. You can learn from them all you need to know. And how do we learn from the moment, right? We talk about this moment is not only God or not only the divine reality, but this moment is the moment from which all scripture has been distilled, right? All scripture is the crystallization of the truth of the moment into words. And so this moment that you exist in is in fact the source of scripture, the source of wisdom, the source of love, the source of being. And how is it understood? How do you learn about it? By being attentive, by paying attention to not going into automatic cycles in your mind and body, but remaining fresh and in full awareness of the moment in all of its bouquet, all of its arrangement. This is how you read the scripture of the moment, is through awareness. Be attentive and inquire ceaselessly. And what is this inquiry? What is real, right? What is not changing? What is the unchanging? Thakur says, in this moment, that which is unchanging alone is real. Find that. Think of that. Be in that, right? And of course, if you're looking for that which is unchanging, you can't see it. There is nothing out there that is unchanging. Anything meeting the senses is changing constantly. The senses can't sense it otherwise, right? Isn't that true? If your shirt was constantly getting your attention on your skin, you couldn't bear wearing a shirt, right? But because that even-mindedness, that evenness, the mind cuts it out, that white noise, you can put on a shirt and it becomes white noise, you're not feeling it. But in awareness, you feel it. In awareness, you're aware of everything equally in the moment. So be attentive, inquire ceaselessly. That's it. That's all of religion. The libraries and libraries of theologies and philosophies and thinkings and whatnot. Right here, one little paragraph. This will get you home. This will bring you to your reality. Quite a wonder, actually. If just living one's life liberates, why are not all liberated? Well, he didn't say just living one's life. He's saying living life with attention and inquiry endlessly. That's the first answer. All right, so Maharaj says, well, all are being liberated. Indeed, you're right. Everybody is moving toward liberation. But to the degree that you're paying attention, to the degree that you're earnest and sincere in your effort to know truth, to that degree, to that is your speed of advancement, as it were, right? If you're not paying attention and you're just kind of falling into your desire cycles and nurturing your pain, then, yes, you're learning. Yes, you're growing. But that's pretty much the slowest path you can take. He says, all are being liberated. It is not what you live, but how you live that matters. All right, we've talked about that. It's not the particulars. It's not the what's in your life. It's the how's in your life. You can have a fulfilling life being a dishwasher at the steakhouse down on the corner. You don't have to become president or an astronaut or the doctor that cures cancer. That's not where fulfillment in life comes from. Fulfillment in life comes by doing what you do with love and with attention and as a service to the beloved or to the universe, to the world at large. That's where your satisfaction in life comes from. It's not in what you're doing. It's not in the definitions or the arrangements of conditions and circumstances. It's how you approach them. If you approach them as you are, right? Without any ideation, without any freight train of past experience. If you just see them as you are, then your nature will encounter them and manifest its divine principle, the principles of love, awareness, and wisdom. It will manifest those and create beauty out of what's available in the moment to you. And creating that beauty is your nature. It is your nature to alleviate suffering. It is your nature to serve. It is your nature to be empathetic. And when you act in according to your nature, you are fulfilled because it's your nature. You are content because that's your nature, right? And your world does take on a beauty, the beauty of a Christ, the beauty of a Buddha, the beauty of Ramakrishna, the beauty of Holy Mother, where all that you're doing is a service to humanity and a support of your own realization. So all are being liberated. No, that's true. It is not what you live, but how you live that matters. The idea of enlightenment is of utmost importance. Just to know that there is such possibility changes one's entire outlook. It acts like a burning match in a heap of sawdust. All the great teachers did nothing else. A spark of truth can burn up a mountain of lies. The opposite is also true. The sun of truth remains hidden behind the cloud of self-identification with the body, right? With egoism. These thoughts of me and mine are your veil. That is Maya. The sense of I am with attributes attached. I am male, I am old, I am American, I am this, that, and the other. That is your veil. That's Maya for you. That is the story you drag into the moment that prevents you from seeing what you really are and experiencing the nature of the dream. So as long as you're ego bound, as long as you believe yourself to be a body and believe yourself to be a mind. Now, what does that mean? That means when you're hungry, you say, I'm hungry, right? You don't have a sense that the body is hungry and that it's separate from you. You say, I'm hungry. And so you're bound to the body and you have to go feed it. I'm cold, so then you have to go warm it. I'm tired. So then you have to go rest it, and so you're bound to it. It's not optional. If you don't serve it properly, then it affects the mind, and the mind then gets, petulant and sarcastic and cranky and whatnot. And if you say, then you say, I'm cranky, I'm tired, I'm annoyed, I'm lonely, I'm depressed. Then you've got all these attributes that you're attaching to your I am. And all of them are bondage, and all of them prevent you from seeing the wonder of the moment because you've identified with the temporary and the changing, and you're terrified. And so you're just being tossed left and right. So know yourself to be the unchanging in this moment. And from that perspective of the unchanging, see all of the change with disinterest because it is changing. It's fleeting. It comes and instantly isn't, right? And that's the nature of it. But the nature is not what's hitting the senses. The nature is not what's contacting. The nature is what is being contacted, what is being touched, and what is it being touched by. Finding the unity in that, finding the dance in that it's only separated because of the senses separating it. The actual pure experience is a union of bliss, and a union of knowing, and a union of being. The idea of enlightenment is of utmost importance. It's like the sun in the sky. It gives you your light, your goal, and your understanding. It keeps things organized in the way that they should, to be able to be seen as they are. It acts like a burning match in a heap of sawdust. Everything that it observes in pure awareness gets untied. Every lie that's encountered by pure awareness gets corrected. Every twist gets straightened out. It acts like a burning heap and like a match in a heap of sawdust. All the great teachers did nothing else. They did nothing else but bring awareness, the I am. When Jesus was asked who he was, it's one of the very dramatic moments in the Bible. He's confronted by the people who ultimately stone him. And they want to know, they demand of him, who do you say that you are? And Jesus uses the words, ego eimi, I am that I am. And that was a direct quote from the voice of God in the Old Testament when he told, excuse me, I'll get my old man stuff out of the way here, that he said when he gets, when God said, when Moses asked, who shall I say sent me? God says, tell him that I am sent you. That is my name. And so Jesus, when asked this very thing, who are you? I am. He gave the name of God. And it says that they picked up stones to throw at him, to stone him to death on the spot, but he slipped away unseen. He escaped. So this that notion, knowing who you are, I am that I am existence itself. I have never been born. I will never die. And you see how much fear that alleviates, even that. Of course, right now it's a statement of faith. But I tell you, go into your practice, go into the silence of your mind, and these things will start to become obvious and apparent to you as the story subsides, as the blinders of your Maya quiet and thin. You catch a glimpse through the veil, and you will have a suspicion that you are in fact eternal. You are in fact outside of time, because you can observe time. And to observe it, you have to be out of it to see it as its whole, right? So you become aware of these things. All the great teachers do nothing else but make you aware of this possibility. They are the hole through which the divine is seen. A spark of truth can burn up a mountain of lies. So you are enough. Your practice is enough. You are all that you need. You don't have to go out and buy anything to do this. The opposite is also true, that the sun of truth remains hidden behind the cloud of self-identification with the body. So that's it. You know, if you're going into a depression, understand that you're identifying with the mind and falling into a habit of depression, right? Remember who you are. I'm ever free. I'm ever blissful. I am the very source of love in this world. I am the light, you know, that I see. This awareness, and take a moment to recenter yourself and say, yes, I'm looking through a depressed mind, but I am light shining through a dark tunnel. I won't be overcome. I won't be attached. I'll remain free. The questioner, this spreading the good news of enlightenment seems very important. Maharaj, the very hearing of it is a promise of enlightenment. Yes, there's that notion. If you've even heard of enlightenment, that you have fallen into the awareness of God. God is, the cobra has bitten you. Now it's just a matter of time. As soon as you become aware of the possibility of enlightenment, your journey has begun. Right? Just hearing it. The very hearing of it is a promise of enlightenment. The very meeting a guru is the assurance of liberation. Perfection is life-giving and creative. The very meeting of the guru is the assurance of your liberation. So certainly, we're studying the guru now. We're learning. You know, we're in the presence of our guru. So your liberation is assured, right? See Maya enjoying her liberation, her promise of liberation. Yeah, this is the reality. Your liberation is guaranteed, and you're on your way to your enlightenment. You know, what is there to fear? Don't get caught up in the mundane. Your experience of enlightenment will be your experience of this moment, just with a knowing. That's all that's different. Just a knowing, right? And so hear this and know this. Absorb this deep in yourself. And then open your awareness, open the doors to all of your senses, and see everything for the first time again and again and again. Does the realized man ever think, I am realized? Is he not astonished when people make such of him? Does he not take himself to be an ordinary human being? Interesting question here. Maharaj, neither ordinary nor extraordinary. So neither. He doesn't give an attribute to himself. Just being aware and affectionate intensely. Right? Being aware All right, that's the neutral light of awareness. Be aware, see everything equally, and affectionate. This is the very beautiful thing right here. This is, you know, the personal God. This is the whole motive of having a personal God, is it helps with this affectionate part. But for as a jnani, as someone practicing the jnanic path here, you're going to get this by knowing your nature. That when you do nothing, when you shut the ego down, you become absolutely still. You don't become a piece of wood or a piece of stone. What you do, because what you are is actually a noun that cannot be contained. You are Satchitananda. And so when everything else quiets, that is what blossoms. That is what expands. That is what is manifested and expressed, right? And so as you're sitting there becoming aware of isness in your awareness, and you're detaching from the things of the body and mind, your identities, right? There's that fear of becoming nothingness, of becoming the very essence of of tamas, of inertia. But the fact that your nature is not inertia is your guard against that. Your nature is Satchitananda. And so you just give that an awareness. You sit in this moment of awareness with a fond affection of that awareness, and allowing that fond affection to manifest, because that's your nature. And so this heat of bliss begins to emanate like a body heat off of the divine self, off of you. So neither ordinary nor extraordinary, just being aware and affectionate intensely with focus, not with a casual nature. He looks at himself without indulging in self-definitions and self-identifications, right? He looks at himself. So he's being aware of that awareness, being aware of his internal world, but doesn't indulge in any of the self-definitions, any of the self-identifications. Doesn't indulge in them. The thoughts come, he doesn't accept that they have anything to do with him. So there's no interest in them. Let them come, let them fall. That's their natural cycle. And the same with every sense that arises and falls. Every change that's encountered, let it rise, let it fall. Attached to nothing. Define yourself by none of it. Consider none of it to have any necessity to you at all, or any relationship to you at all. It's just simply mind excreting thoughts, like your sweat glands secreting sweat. There's nothing particularly special about thinking. So let it go, let it be. He does not know himself as anything apart from the world. There's no cognitive analysis going on in there at all. There's simply an observation in pure wisdom. So there's a very deep knowing. There's not ignorance in this. This is not a tamasic exercise. In that silencing of the mind, you become aware of infinite wisdom within the self that's ever present. He does not know himself as anything apart from the world, because he would have to grab any of those identities in order to separate himself from the world. It's your collection of limitations that has cut you off, not that you are limited. Just your collection of limitations. He is the world. He is completely rid of himself, like a man who is very rich but continually gives away his riches. He is not rich, for he has nothing. He is not poor, for he gives abundantly. He is just propertyless. Similarly, the realized man is egoless. He has lost the capacity of identifying himself with anything. He is without location. He is placeless. He is beyond space. He is beyond time. He is beyond the world. He is beyond words. He is beyond thoughts. He is he, right? So it's this knowing, being beyond all of those, but being deeply aware of all of it, and knowing it all to be the self, knowing that it is your light of consciousness that is illuminating all of this, and the nature of that light is your love. And so you naturally spill it, you spend it all. You see his image here of a rich man who gives all of his money away continuously. right? So he's getting money, tons of money, but he's just giving it away as fast as he's getting it. So he can't be called a rich man because he doesn't own, he doesn't collect, doesn't take, doesn't identify, right? So he's continually giving away. So he doesn't have, he's not a collector, he's not attached, he's not channeling it in any one direction based on egoistic ideas of who should get it and who shouldn't, right? He's giving away continually all that he has in every moment, and it's being replenished brand new every moment within him. And so it is with you and your love. You have an infinite well to give. In this moment, love everything around you. If there's no living beings in your room, then love the inanimate things. God is equally present everywhere, right? So everything is treated with respect. Holy Mother, when the brahmachari threw the broom in the closet. What? That is also a member of our household. Everything should be treated with respect, right? So even inanimate things. So living like that. So you give abundantly, you live abundantly, you're not wealthy because you're not letting it stop long enough to own it. You're just giving and caring and giving and caring and giving and caring. There is no sense of return. There is no sense of identifying with it. You don't stop for a moment to think, oh, I'm such a generous person. I'm such a loving person. I'm such a caring person. You don't indulge in any self-identifications at all. You simply constantly let it flow. Let this light of consciousness flow endlessly from this divine principle, which is what you in your pure nature are. Questioner, well, it's a deep mystery to me. I'm a simple man. There's something very sweet about that, but also quite tragic. Because it's something that could be said, but if it was said in fullness, like an understanding, it would be an amazingly beautiful thing to say. But it sounds like a shutting down. It sounds like, oh, that's just too much. It's a shutting down. Oh, it's hiding in our limitations, hiding in our restrictions. Maharaj, it is you who are deeply complex. It is you who are deeply mysterious. It is you who are hard to understand. I am simplicity itself compared to you. I am what is, without any distinction whatsoever, into inner or outer, mine and yours, good or bad. What the world is, I am. What I am, the world is. Right? And this becomes very, very true as you practice. I have my one story that really demonstrated this to me when I first moved to LA. I came from San Francisco, and San Francisco has kind of a snooty attitude toward people from Los Angeles as being, oh, they're shallow and they're all shiny and they're all, all of that. And San Franciscans, well, we're activists, we're political, we're involved in life. And so I get posted to LA, and I'm walking around, and I was there for a few months, and I just thought, oh, the city's so unfriendly. Everybody is so stuck in their own self, so busy being beautiful, that there's no connection. And so I would walk that way, and I would see people like that, and I would experience the city like that, and I'd realize nobody ever talks to you, nobody ever greets you, nobody ever stops and says anything at the stoplights, right? And then Mother's words, I think that was probably the spark that got me thinking about it. Do not see the faults of others. See your own faults. Make the world your own. And so I remember I told this story. I decided to make a practice of recognizing Thakur, recognizing God in people's eyes, recognizing the divine reality behind them, the love that they are, the wisdom that they are, the being that they are at the heart of it. Looking at that instead of looking at their face, stopping at their personality, not reacting to them before I knew them. And just looking at them and saying hello to Thakur. I saw it as a prayer. I would literally address Thakur, talking to them. It didn't take but 2 weeks before I saw a change in LA. LA suddenly was warming up quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I started having people start talking to me at the stoplight as I waited for the red light to change. I remember actually making a connection with the cashier at the grocery store, and actually starting, an acquaintance saying hi to each other when I would go down there to shop. And so all of this just from making myself aware that I am in the world of awareness. I am in the world of love, the world of being, and treating people accordingly. They are my divine reflection, and seeing that. And just by changing your energy that way, changing your own approach to the world, you're no longer looking at it from a standoffish, judgmental sort of space. So people start warming up to you, right? Because your judgmental space kept everybody at bay. They were just as afraid to talk to you as you were to talk to them, because it was your resistance that they were reflecting when they were resisting you. Get that taken care of inside yourself, and live in the world of a Buddha, of a Jesus, of a Ramakrishna. Live in a world of ecstasy, a world of service, a world of wonder, a world of your divine ideal shining everywhere. Live in that world. To not live in that world is to be utterly complex, like what he's saying here. This man thinks he's a simple man. He thinks that this mystery is too big to him. And Maharaj is pointing out, you are the least simple person around right now. You have so many rules and so many regulations and so many judgments and so many misunderstandings that have to be accounted for and constantly explained and constantly adjusted and constantly justified, right? He says, I'm none of that. My mind is silent at this moment. Words are flowing through it. Nothing is being held onto. I am everything at once and the potential of anything that can be or ever was. I am. This moment, I'm ever free. I can present anything. You're like a record player that can play any music at any moment. The music does not define you. You can take any record and play its music beautifully. And so this is us. We can take any notion of ourselves and play it. So know who you really are. That is the most beautiful song. Play it. You are love. Make your life you, the record player, playing the disc of Satchitananda. I like that one. That's cool. Maharaj, it is you who are deeply complex, yes, mysterious and hard to understand. I am simplicity itself, because there's nothing here. Compared to you, I am what is, without any distinction, no particulars. I am, flowing freely, whatsoever, no distinctions whatsoever into inner and outer. So I don't see an inner world and an outer world. I know that all of this is within me, that I am the totality. Mine and yours, good and bad, I don't see those distinctions. I don't judge the world in those terms. What the world is, I am. So what the world is, I am. There's no separation. There's unity. There's harmony. I am what I am. What I am, the world is. How does it happen that each man creates his own world, Maharaj? When a number of people are asleep, each dreams his own dream. Only on awakening, the question of many different dreams arises and dissolves when they are all seen as dreams, as something imagined, right? So he's just saying that we're all in the same reality, but we're all dreaming our own dreams of that reality. We've all made our own homes. We've all collected our own friends, our own relatives, our own stories, our own experiences, our own jobs. And so even though we're all experiencing the same reality, we've all created our own special reality out of that common reality. And so this journey of spiritual life is a return to that understanding, right? And then when we all wake up, we realize that we share the same reality and that all of the differences were only dreams. All of our attributes were only dreams. All of our separation from each other were only dreams, collections of things we hid behind, but they weren't real, they didn't define us, and they weren't necessary. All right, we can stop there for the morning.
I think